Many people talk about the ups and downs of married life, but no one really prepares you for life after your spouse passes away. Welcome to Widowhood Real Talk with Tina, a safe place for widows, widowers, and their friends and family to talk about love and loss. Find comfort as you listen to honest conversations between Tina and invited guests who've experienced the loss of their forever partner. Share their stories of love, grief, and healing. You are not alone in this journey. Join today's episode and discover a wealth of resources and learn how to connect with others who are traveling the same path. This is Widowhood Real Talk with Tina.
Hello, Widowhood. Our guest today is Miss Yvette Lloyd, and you are in for a treat. Yvette is going to give you tips on how to deal with domestic violence, how to deal with when you are stuck in your grief, and third, and most importantly, how the process of loving yourself is the basis for everything that you do. Let's get into this conversation now. Hello, Yvette. Welcome to the Widowhood.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Really, really? Like when you hear welcome to the widowhood, what comes to mind?
Helping someone else.
Okay. And from
Yeah.
what perspective?
Just sharing my journey, my experience. Sometimes people can feel alone
Mm,
and you just never know what's going to come out your mouth that could actually go to someone's ears and help them understand their journey a lot better.
that is true. Now, you are a podcaster, correct? Tell us a little
Yeah.
bit about your podcast and what you do.
Life Her podcast is about business owners sharing their journey. A lot of people see the things we post on social media and just believe everything is just so perfect. Yet behind the scenes, we've been through a lot. We go through personal things in our lives, and we also go through personal journeys by growing our brand. So it's basically a podcast where everybody can become enlightened and educated on different types of businesses, and they can learn from it or even utilize the services that the individuals provide that be on my podcast show.
Okay. And where can we find your podcast
You
and
you can
what's the
find it
frequency?
You could find Life Her podcast on all major platforms, and you can watch it as a visual on YouTube.
So, this conversation we're having is outside the scope of your normal conversation on your YouTube channel. Are some of your listeners going to be surprised?
You know what? Honestly, no, because I'm very transparent on my podcast. So maybe like some of my new listeners I have gotten this year alone, some of them may not know, but some of my other ones that has been following me for the past 5 years, they actually know my journey, but some of them don't know in that I I held back on a lot of things, which I'm willing to share with you.
Thank you. And how does it feel to be on the other side of the podcast conversation?
Honestly, it feels good because I really don't express myself much and I really don't get too many people asking me things. So just someone asking me questions and me releasing it feels good for real.
Good. You don't have to worry about editing, show notes, doing any other stuff. You just
Hey.
you can talk and say, "That was fine. Tell me when I can see that because it's a wrap."
Yep.
That
Yeah,
part of it. So when you
definitely.
say you have held back, what are some areas that you've held back and not been so candid on your show about?
Oh god, my health.
Okay.
Sometimes people would be upset when I have to reschedule a podcast show, or some days I will post and I will go like weeks without posting or taking a break, a whole month break. And those experiences are me going through grief, or I was going through a lot of health complications, or I was going through a lot of things when it comes to my business, my daycare mainly, when staff call offs, or even staff grieving as well, and I have to take a lot of time off to replace them. Just different things like that occur a lot in my personal life, and I also had to release one of my businesses. It was a business my husband had started, and I kept going with his janitorial company, and it became a huge burden. So I had to let that go too, and that was taking up a lot of my time and just grieving overall because it doesn't stop. It's just some days is better than others.
Thank you. And when I wanna kinda go through those one at a time, if you don't mind.
That's
When you
fine.
when you talk about your health, when I hear for me, my health, I was in the Army for 21 years, and I have anxiety, I have stress, I have I wear hearing aids, and all of those things, it's like, "Whoa," like, I feel like sometimes I'm falling apart, sometimes I'll feel overwhelmed, and it's like sometimes being outside in different moments can create a lot of different triggers for me physically. I'm in a conversation, I'm constantly asking, "Can you repeat that if I don't have my hearing aids?" I'm like, "I am 59 with hearing aids. How is this a thing?"
Man.
And I can relate to that, and grief weighs on your body. So when you say your health, do you mind diving in a little bit more on the details?
Girl, yes. So, I gained weight tremendously. The past 4 years, I had gained weight like crazy, and it got to a point I was, like, past 2 I was almost 300 pounds, honestly. I went from like 180 to 300 in a
Mm,
matter of time, and I didn't realize it. Honestly, I didn't notice it, and from me going through that, it was more or less it wasn't like a eating type thing, it was more a stress on my body. So, with me gaining weight, it caused me to, I thought I was having heart problems, but it really wasn't. It was just me having anxiety, like, really bad. I was also, going through, like, swelling in my feet and my hands. My digestive system started to shut down. I had to, like, readjust all of that stuff, and I ended up developing, PCOS really, really bad. So, the PCOS on top of me having a weight gain and then me actually trying to lose weight, it was a lot. It wouldn't go anywhere on top of me having stress with that. And I end up eventually last year in August, I had the gastric sleeve surgery. And since I have that, my health has shifted. I feel, I'm a lot more motivated to work out. I have lost a lot of weight. I have lost probably about over like 60 pounds already. I'm a lot more energetic. My digestive system is a lot better. It's a lot of things that come with it that created me to have a better health aspect of it, and it created me to actually do better with just my career, myself, and everything overall. And my mom passed from heart congestive failure, and my dad has it too. So that was another that was alarming with my dad still being here and he sharing his experience of having heart congestive failure. And then behind that, my aunt, she has it as well, 2 of my aunts, and then my aunt had triple bypass surgery, and my cousin, he had quadruple bypass surgery, so I'm sitting here like, everybody in my life is having these heart issues, and I'm stressed out, gaining weight and stuff. I started to love me more, and I started to see the things that were going on, and I didn't wanna be the next person to be passing away due to my health. So I wanted I saw that I had a purpose here more than anything. So I wanted to shift it, and I was going through that a lot in between me podcasting and running my businesses at the same time and trying to keep myself going.
I can see all of those, and people may hear something and go, "You're gaining weight, but it's not about eating." And that's a misconception people have. Can you expound on that a little bit more?
I really didn't eat much, and from me not eating and not feeding myself enough protein, it will cause my my weight to do the opposite of what I really needed. And now that I do intake a lot of protein and I make sure that I'm eating at the correct times and eating certain foods, I've also discovered that corn syrup in food blows
What is
me
it
up.
not in?
Yeah, I know. Corn syrup does a lot to me. It does a lot of swelling to me. So I had to really notice what things to eat and not to eat for me to be able to balance out everything, which I've always been athletic. I've always done all of these things. I knew all of these things already. However, I really wasn't trying to pay that any attention at all until things got worse. But when it comes to you taking care of yourself and actually getting testing done as far as like my blood type and things to know what foods to eat, I'm blood type O. So I had to actually research it and see what foods are for me too. So it's a lot of things that's like more in depth when it comes to your health and what is best for you. Because what works for you may not work for other people.
Exactly, because you mentioned having the test based align with your blood type, and then understanding how your body responds to different foods. I know a young lady that when she has anything with glucose in it, her face is breaking out all the time. So she had to just really remove herself from processed food because
Yeah.
that corn syrup is in a lot of things. And the more she ate food that was, I wanna say, in its more natural state, the better her body responded. Her body was able to process. I knew somebody so those things keying into that, and if I heard you correctly, grief was the catalyst for everything shifting.
Yes.
And people hear the word grief, and it means different things for them. How is grief positioned in your life for you?
Oh, grief was a lot for me. Grief actually started with relationships with me. It started off with relationships with my friends and people that I thought was close to me. And what it did was it caused me also I had lost one of my daycare centers. I had two at the time. I had two daycare centers and that grief came with me dealing with me losing friendships as far as like relationships, them developing a jealousy trait towards me and more hateful towards me, and even individuals that were in that owned the building that I was in that welcomed me in there, um that she was actually a pastor, and it I dealt with church hurt as well, dealing with that. And then in the midst of that, me losing my mom, I lost my mom first, and then from me losing my mom, I was running a youth program, and a lot of kids in a program hurt me, like, hurt my feelings a lot with certain, things that they were accusing me of and how they were feeling towards me, and it could be due to other people see what I'm doing for them, and then they didn't like it, and they didn't like me, so it messed up our relationships due to other people not knowing me as well. And then after that, of me losing my husband as well, all of this was a domino effect. All of this was going on in my life at the moment. So those are my different stages of grief, and I dealt with those different emotions at the same time. So it was hard for me to actually pinpoint, deal with one grief or another. It was like all of them all at once, and it was just happening to me. And this all transpired a whole year. So a whole year, I just went through just everything just crumbling. Even my finances even decreased. Me almost losing everything, not being able to pay my mortgage or anything. So I dealt with a lot of that.
That is are you saying the friends, the work, the church hurt, your mom, the children, your husband, all those calamities happened within a 12-month span?
Yes.
Girl,
Yes. All of it happened at once.
and where was your safe space in all of this?
I really didn't have one. Honestly, I really didn't have a safe space. My safe space was me, me and God. And that's what got me with so much like faith and wisdom today. And why I speak on it a lot is because God had me. I communicated with him a whole lot, because in that time, I really didn't have anyone to talk to that could actually relate to what I was feeling and what I was going through. However, I did have people in my life there for me, but they couldn't do much for me. It was more or less I had to want to do things for myself to be able to get through it and strengthen myself in many ways. I did counseling, I did all of those things, but at the end of the day, I felt like I had the power over myself more than anything for me to change different things that was transpiring in my personal life as far as me mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I had to really tap into who Yvette was and who I was becoming and things, because it's like I really had to rebirth myself in a sense, because, losing my mom, I was really close to her. So me being close to her, it was like I had to literally change my identity more into who I really was, because I had helped with my mom with my identity of her being the voice of reason and me going to her for literally everything. She was my best friend. So me having that, and then from her passing, and I had my husband, I had him to talk to after my mom passed. However, he was dealing with grief too, because 9 months before my mom passed, his mom passed. So it was like him and I both dealing with it, but however, we still had a shared experience of us both losing our moms in such a time span. So me just having that and just being able to adjust for that, it was a lot.
It is a lot. And you mentioned the idea about rebirthing yourself. I'm going to share something. I want you to give what your perspective. I feel as if people who have not had a profound loss look at it from the outside and think the person died, just keep living, you'll be okay. But that gap of that person's absence, the impact, who you were because this person's existence, and them no longer being here, whether it was a long sickness or all of a sudden, we are impossible to be who we were when they were here. What would you say to that?
I'm not who I was 5 years ago at all. If you had a strong bond and relationship with that person, I feel like a person can't be themselves again. I feel like it's impossible, because it was just the hurt that I like go through even still today is a lot easier, but my mom was my next door neighbor. My mom was my next door neighbor. I had a clear connection with my mom. She was a person I went to when me making business decisions. She was my protector. She was literally everything for me. So that moment of her being gone, I didn't have her to go to. I had to like figure out what she would say at this point. So I had to transform and transition myself to be able to still connect with her, but connect with me too, because I have the abilities of the different things that she had given me. I just had to start applying it and bringing it to life myself as though she is still here. She already built me up to have the strength, the courage, the knowledge, the wisdom. She built me up for all of it already, but me leaning on her more, it didn't create too much independence for myself. So once I was knowing I was here alone by myself, I had to like 100% give myself a lot of grace and also courage to actually, okay, look, you out in the real world now. You completely out there. So you gonna have to stand up, be tall, and have the strength, the courage, and everything because I watched her do it since I was able to notice it with her. So with me being able to come out and realize that, okay, I had to be her times 10, that's what I had to do to transition myself. And I actually see that now today that I am her and I'm a lot stronger than she was. And that's exactly what she wanted. And as far as me just being fearless and just being able to do the things that I do, and that created me to create a new identity on top of me creating a new identity with my husband. I had a godly husband. He prayed over me. He taught me the word of God a lot more than I've ever been taught. So we've done it together. So with him teaching me all of this and making sure I have the word and being able to transition things and learn Psalms 91 in a different form, that created me too another rebirth. So I just continue to rebirth constantly.
How did you meet your husband?
I actually met my husband. He saw me in a newspaper. And once he received the newspaper, he reached out to me. He was incarcerated in federal prison and he was close to coming home he had some years to go, but he was coming home and he reached out to me basically explaining the different things he wanted to do for the youth that I was doing and the things that he was currently doing, helping individuals that was incarcerated already. So we were friends for many, many years before we actually came to a point we want to be in a relationship with each other. He was in a relationship and I was too. So it was like, it was a lot of boundaries there. And it was just strictly us handling business and me helping him and he helping me to prepare for different things as far as helping youth in the community. And later on, his fiance passed away, and I was able to be there for him, pray with him and everything. We didn't talk all the time. It was like spurts, like months to go by or a year go by, but it was like one moment when I was in a relationship where the man had abused me and held me hostage in my basement at the time, and I was in my basement for like 3 hours before I was able to get away from him, and at that time, he helped me get through that situation for me to get my mental health together with that. So, for about 2 years, we just really helped each other heal, and next thing you know, it was more or less, "Hey, you wanna get married?" And it ended up becoming a marriage and us getting married in Milan, Michigan.
You said a mouthful. We need.
I know.
I only have water, and I feel like I need to go make a whole cup of tea. So, give us some timelines, like when he got out, when this flipped to "Can I marry you?" Did we kiss first? I mean, we need to know.
No, we have not even seen each other in person.
What was
We
your
have
friends and your people saying?
no one knew I got married until after I got married.
'Cause you ain't wanna hear what they had.
Yep.
Imma drink this like this tea. What did they say afterwards?
My mom, she said, "I knew you was gonna do something like this." She was like, "It's not surprising to me because 'cause you've always been this way." So, it really just didn't even
Didn't
phase
phase
her.
mama.
No, it didn't phase her
Were
at
you
all.
disappointed? You wanted some reaction?
Huh?
Did it disappoint you that your mom wasn't phased?
No.
Okay.
No, it didn't disappoint me at all. She actually I mean, she know me as far as me making decisions. I did it with me having a business and everything. So she kind of wasn't surprised. I'm always been the type of person that thought for myself and make decisions on my own, bump my head on my own, learn from it, keep it moving, bounce back. And that was just always been me. It's always been me. So it was kinda shocking to a lot of people. My best friend and my sister came with me. They were my 2 witnesses that came with me for,
Somebody that
the
knew what was
marriage.
going on. Okay.
Yes. So them 2, they knew they had to be there to sign the papers. We weren't going to get married at first, honestly, because they wouldn't I guess the pastor didn't come on time. So they were kinda curious about that, and then I had to go back out and come back in, and they usually don't let you go out and come back in. So they end
Hold
up
on, go out and
letting
come back in where?
in
In the federal prison.
yes, in the federal
Okay.
prison. Yeah, cause I had to come back out due to the, pastor not showing up, and then as I was leaving, the pastor had came. And he had saw that, but I was like, "Wait a minute, you're here?" And he was like, "Yeah." So usually when you're out already, you're out. It's over with. You'll have to reschedule or whatever. But from me, from us was in our like dating, actual dating phase when I had start to see him and visit him for the first time and everything. Time went by I say about a year went by before we actually got into it, like, really serious and stuff, and the guards and everyone knew me, and they would like, due to me being respectful all the time and them knowing me, they let me back in.
Wow.
Yes. You speechless.
I want to know, in all that you are, it sounds as if are you very whimsical or just make decisions and just da 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 da, or you're more so you are. Okay.
Yeah, like, whatever comes to my mind, if it's something I wanna do, I'm gonna do it.
Okay. So the gentleman that held you in your basement for 3 hours,
Mhm.
was that a SA situation or domestic violence or somebody that came to do some work at your house? How did that come about?
It was more of, domestic violence. It was someone that I was dating and someone I known since I was at 18 years old, since I was a kid. So it's not like someone I just met.
Right.
We just always been cool. He's always been a friend of the family. It's just always been a cool relationship that we've always had. And it just randomly came about with him acting like that. And I don't know, something just triggered in him. He's never been that type of person. I've never known him to even be like that with women that I know if he dated in the past. I just don't know what and how that came about with him to be that way. And, it only happened once, and that was my last time being around him, seeing him and everything. My mom was my neighbor, so I ran straight to my mom's house for safety, and my mom just gave him a few words, and we ain't been around each other since.
How did you prevent yourself from not being triggering with men altogether? Something like that can happen to someone and it makes them closed off. It makes them isolated because now the world is really a scary place.
Yes, the world is a scary place, but I'm not scared. And the reason being I'm not scared, I was blessed and raised by my grandfathers, my mom's dad and my dad's dad. And being raised by my grandfathers, they taught me self-defense at a very young age. I'd say I was like I wanna say 11, 12 years old. So I've done all the hunting. I did, boxing. I did, training as far as fight and all of that. So I've always done different things to train myself and also get training from, my grandparents and stuff. So they already taught me different things on how to navigate, how not to panic, how to think when you in situations like that. So that's basically what I did. That's how I got away. I think before I actually react, I thought out everything that I do strategically before I actually make a move. And that was how I was able to get away from him because I had a long dress on. So with me having a long dress on, every time I tried to run and go up the steps, he had dragged me back down. He even pinned me down and tried to raped me as well, and he also hit me, but I didn't back down, and he had to use more strength on me because I was stronger than him, and I pinpointed his weaknesses, and it helped me get away, and I tied my dress up before I actually ran the third time to get away, and I went straight out the door. I'm not gonna lie, my aim was to take him out of here, but I didn't want to. I just felt like a person dealing with that on a daily basis, they'll suffer more, and not dealing with me anymore and keeping myself away. I have a lot of protection around me as far as me, myself, God, and my family. So he doesn't bother me at all.
That is a lot to share.
Yeah.
And I know people say this and it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. That is amazing.
Mm,
That is not something to just gloss over that you share with because we're having a podcast conversation.
no,
That
you're actually the first person I ever shared this with. Even I like loudly for me to actually speak about it.
and I honor that because those are not light words. And sometimes those thoughts may have obviously relived in your mind because they happened, but there's something different and powerful about saying it out loud.
Yeah.
And if there is someone that is listening that has been through a similar situation as what you just described, and they are struggling with, it was my fault. Maybe I should have done something else. I should have done this and that. Is there anything you would want to share with them?
It isn't your fault. It's usually signs that you see early on, or sometimes you won't see the signs till later. But staying with a man and thinking you could change him and change who he is, you can't. You won't. You won't be able to. He has to do that himself. And he has to answer to God at the end of the day. Sticking around with a person that's mentally ill like that, they will kill you. They will literally take you out of here. And ironically, my mom used to tell me that all the time. She said, a man will really kill you if they want to. And she used to always tell me that all the time. And I should be like, Mom, you're exaggerating. It's not that serious. But it is that serious when they want what they want and they pinpoint your weaknesses and everything, they will do anything in their power to test that out and take it even further the next round. And you have to I suggest all women to learn how to protect themselves. Learn how to handle a firearm, learn different techniques on how to get out of zip ties, how to do certain moves or trigger points to be able to make them lose their breath, you know? It's just different things that need to be done, and you have to notice because you have to love yourself first. And I was blessed to be able to have a mother that I've had and taught me how to love myself and told me what I don't have to put up with and what I won't have to go through. And not even just my brother too. My brother taught me a lot, and I had more men in my family than women. So the men in my family as well, they're not having that either. So just being surrounded by love matters. But if you're not surrounded by love, you have to be able to love yourself enough.
I love the idea. The root of that is loving yourself. Because when you love yourself, there's value in yourself. I hear you saying that. And because I love myself, I will not allow this to be in my space. Because I love myself, that is the basis for the decisions that I'm making. Everything needs to stack up. Does that equate to me loving myself, allowing this to happen in my space? Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. You
So
have
you
to.
go from that. What gave you the go light to continue this relationship from friendship to marriage? Never living together, interacting with I'm sorry, your husband's name,
His name is James.
James. What gave you the go light to say, "This is it with James"?
James was gentle. He was a godly man. he expressed himself in ways where a man is supposed to treat a woman. It was different ways on how my grandfathers taught me how I should be treated, and they taught me, and I also watched my dad's parents, my grandmother and grandfather. I watched them love on each other. I watched them do things for each other. I have other family members in marriages, and I watched them love. And he gave me a lot of love that I've never experienced before, not even just with his words, even just me meeting him and being around him, his company. He was a really good man, and he was blessed with an amazing father as well. And he watched how his father treated his mother and loved his mother. So it helped him know how to love as well. And when he came home, it was like even better. It was like a dream come true. And my mom loved him so much. She called him son so quick. So, like, immediately, and she's just like, "I'm proud of you for making a great decision to, have him as your husband." And my whole family loved he even got one of my cousins to get married to a woman they was with for over 10 years. He encouraged them so much, and they end up getting married. He was a huge influence on just anybody he came around. He was a powerful man, just put himself in a bad position years before, and he was just amazing. He great father, great nephew, just a great guy. He was
Oh, the
really
way you just bubbled up when we started talking about James, like we having a whole different conversation
Oh,
than what we were
yeah.
a moment ago. You was like, and this, and I was like, hey.
Girl, that man was amazing. He was the best. I did good for myself.
How long were you guys together?
We were married at the time for a total of 2.5 years. No, we was actually married for 3 years when he was home. 'Cause he was away for a year, and then he came home for, like, 2.5 before he passed away. So we was together for that amount of time, like, a little over 3 years.
Okay.
So it was amazing. It was such a blessing. We were able to live with each other, start his janitorial business. He was in motion of doing, wholesale real estate. He was on his way. He would probably be bigger than ever right now if he was still here because he has so much grind and hustle to him, and he was, like, really good at it.
What year did James leave this world?
December 2020.
And what would you want to share about that day or what led up to James leaving this world?
Life is short. Before he passed, we were having, like, such a amazing conversation, and it gives me a lot of closure with him passing, but he was on his way to Atlanta, Georgia for a while. He got a job offer that was gonna be able to make him a lot of money going there working through the union. He was asking me if I was okay with it and things, and I was fine with it. Whatever that makes someone better, I will support it in any way possible. So he was on his way there, and just us having conversations, saying we love each other and everything. It brought a lot of closure to me to be able to actually say that, because some people be mad at each other before they go to bed and everything. But I didn't know he passed not until after I checked. I always got up every morning to go check on my staff at the daycare and stuff. And I went there, and I noticed he didn't call me when he got up. And so I end up going downstairs to check on him, and that's when I noticed he was gone.
So
So, yeah, so me just expressing and feeling his hard, cold body, it just, I don't know, it just sent me somewhere different, and it impacted me even today on how I live my life. I focus on myself a lot. I don't entertain in other people's things that they have going in their life. I will give somebody advice, words of wisdom, and things like that. But like gossip and all of that stuff, I just don't want to waste the minutes, the seconds of my life experiencing something that isn't meaningful for me or even godly. So I just make sure I just live my life to the fullest and continue to uplift and inspire others and live my dreams and do things that's for me.
If James were to see you now in this rebirth, what do you think he would say?
Girl, he'd be like, "You doing your thing, girl." He would be, like, extremely proud of me. Just even me getting up out of the depression that I was in, just him seeing me be uplifted and prosper and everything, he would be, like, extremely proud of me, and we would have been teaming up together, just showing the world how a married couple is supposed to be and how you supposed to support each other. Because even before he passed, with me having Life Her podcast, he had Life Him podcast. And he just did like 3 interviews before he passed. And he was doing really good with it and developing a whole community of men. They were having Bible study every week and everything. So it was amazing. He was doing
Wow. Can we find Life Film Podcast? Is it still available somewhere
I
or
still have it all up. Yes, you can still see it, especially on Instagram and stuff. You can still see Life Him podcast. It's still on his YouTube and everything. Yeah. I leave it up just in case if like his family or someone wants to see it or, have some sort of memory of seeing him. I left all of his stuff up just in case if somebody want to collect memories from him.
that is so kind of you. The idea of depression and grief, they just seem natural. Some people may hear that and go, well, why do you feel like you were depressed? The gravity of every moment of not being able to connect with them, every second of trying to operate in the gap of their existence is turmoil. At least it was for me. Can you relate to that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like today is one of my better days. If you would catch me another day, I probably would have been started crying. So it's just the balance of grief is like it's sneaky, it's very sneaky. You never know when it's coming or going. And just having those memories, I could say having the memories do matter a lot. Having pictures, having videos, just having those different things matter. But it's just a lot of people won't understand your grief until they actually lose someone that they truly, truly love and adore and made a huge impact on your life.
I can agree. Have you found a tribe or community of widows that you connect with that understand your journey or can relate to it?
I'm like believe it or not, even though I'm sharing this with you, I'm not private. I'm really private with myself. And I think it's like due to me being around certain women, some people could be really hurtful. They could be supportive in the beginning and they had just changed on you. So I have a support system as far as like my family, like my sister cousins, my sister, like my aunts, especially my aunts, my mom's sisters. I have my own personal relationship with her 3 sisters, so I could always call them and talk to them, but that's mainly my, like, close village. I haven't well, my aunt lost her husband, so sometimes I could talk to her too, cause she lost him before my husband passed.
I see.
So, that's probably as big as gonna get unless I do meet another, like, see a group of women that are doing it, I will feel a lot more comfortable. But having a mixture that I haven't experienced, I think it'll be kind of different for me and difficult.
I can relate to that. In all the hurt that you have experienced from the youth group, the church hurt, A lot of people have an experience like that and they are bitter. They don't want to be involved. They scorch the earth. How
Mhm.
have you managed if you felt that way and how you transitioned out of that?
I've always been the type of person on to not have anyone have power over me like that. Just because someone does something to you, it doesn't mean you have to live with what they've done to you. And I don't give a person that much power over my life to take away my happiness and the way I feel towards other people as far as building new relationships and stuff like that. I may have trust issues, but I do give someone a chance. I will give them a chance until they, develop that trust from me. But I can't give a person that much power that done something to me to actually, turn my life for the worse really and put blockage in my blessings that I will receive because all it is creating you blocking your blessings because from you feeling some kind of way about somebody, you're pinpointing that on the next person when you haven't even give that person a chance or you haven't given yourself a chance. And it's like if you love yourself, know who you are, know how you treated that person, and confident in what you've done, you can't feel no ill will or harm within yourself because you know you've done God's work already. And that's how I feel. I know I've been good to people and I know I did good things. However, I'm human too. I'm not perfect either. However, I know I didn't do anything as bad as to that person to make them feel extremely horrible towards me, though.
Wow. Someone listening to this conversation and they're going, I never considered I allowed them to have power over me by my disposition changing from their behavior. Are there any steps or things you could possibly recommend for them to change that narrative for themselves because they've been in that place for so long?
It takes a lot of self-help. Go to counseling, journal. I journal my thoughts a lot. I also try to notice my flaws, notice my weaknesses, and I write all my weaknesses down. And I write down all my strengths. And if it take a month to strengthen, that's what it's just gonna take. But I do either one or two at a time to help myself. And also try to get some people in your life that's gonna be honest with you and you not take it personal what they're saying. Because sometimes asking someone what you're doing wrong or what do you see that I need to change or do you feel like I do something, in a way that will stagnate my growth to a point I need to work on it. It's good for people to actually tell you that and you listen and you actually work on it. And that's a lot of things that I do. I have people in my life that tell me things about myself that I need to work on and I make the changes. I do what I can to change it to become a better version of myself.
And in becoming the better version of yourself and having this conversation about some things out loud that you've not spoken about, how does that feel for you?
Girl, it feel good. It feels so good because it's just I've been quiet for so long and I haven't been doing interviews. I haven't been doing nothing. So I'm in this era now where I want to be more transparent. I want people to get to know me more because I'm noticing a lot of people when they do hear me, they always want to hear more. And I don't give them more. So now it's like a part of me now, it's like I'm ready to blossom and become who God wants me to become. It's all about timing too. And I feel like now it is the time for me to speak more because honestly, randomly, literally, probably every month, I get someone to reach out to me and tell me how I have helped them, how they admire my strength. They always telling me something. And these are people that don't be liking my posts. They don't comment. They don't say absolutely nothing to me. And then randomly they'll say something and I will have no clue at all that they were following me or anything or even felt that way. And it's amazing to me. It's like, it's really cool to know that I'm making an impact on people's lives for them to be a better version of themselves or even seeing the mirror in me in themselves.
Well, it sounds like the door is open for anyone else that wants to ask for an interview and speak with you. So I won't pick everything, but I do want to ask, is there something else you wanted to talk about that we didn't cover in this conversation?
I just want people to know to start living a life. Travel the world, do things that you love to do. Start stepping out on faith. If you have a plan of something that you've been wanting to do for a long time, do it. If you don't do it, you letting time go by. Life is literally short. Watching my mom take her last breath, watching my husband, like just finding him gone, it changed me a lot for me to actually see life differently and put more of me into my life for me to be better. And I want other people to realize their worth and also realize your surroundings, the people you're around. Make sure these people are really helping you and not hindering you, not putting a burden on you, helping you grow, speaking life into you, and not creating more darkness to your life that you already might have. Just be around people with a light so that your light can shine just as much as theirs, or you guys could shine together. Because being around people that isn't beneficial for you, you're only just wasting your time in your life. And just start being you. That's a very important, especially being you. If you on social media and you're promoting whatever or trying to do whatever, just always be yourself. Do not try to be anyone else but you, because that's what people is going to love you for, is being you.
That is some amazing advice. If you were to go back in time with all the knowledge that you have now, and you could speak to Yvette the day that James left this world, what would you tell her?
Probably hide less and show more. I dimmed my light for many, many years for people that I was around to make them feel comfortable. And I would change from me not dimming my light years ago and bringing more light to my life, because I feel like I would have been a lot further and in life if I wouldn't have dimmed it so much. And now it's more or less time for me to just shine my light even more at this point and not let anyone dim it anymore
She
to
said,
make
"No
them feel
more."
comfortable. Yes. I was doing it to make them feel comfortable. And they say like jealousy, like jealous stuff sometimes, but I thought it was, an innocent conversation when it in reality, I noticed it was a hating conversation.
Eventually, the truth comes out. Who we are is gonna be seen. You try to hide it.
Yes.
So, I try to give my guests an opportunity to see if there were any questions they have of me. So this puts you back in podcast mode, if there was any questions that you had of me at all.
What made you start podcasting?
That is an excellent question. My current husband, because 'cause I'm a widow and I've recently been remarried, had a cousin who passed away, and I met the widow, and it was her late husband's birthday, and I saw her posted on social media. It was the first birthday after he passed, and I was like, "Oh, I remember what that was like for me." And I reached out and I messaged her. I said, "Do you wanna talk?" And she was like, "No, not really." I said, "Okay," but I expressed, I remember what that felt like, and if you wanna talk, I'm here. I don't think I hardly hit send, and she was calling me, and we were up and talking way past my bedtime, like 9, 10 o'clock. I'm, like, checking out, but I'm up, like, at 4 AM, and after we finished speaking, I could hear guys saying, "So what are you gonna do about the next person?" I said, "Nobody is calling this phone." Like, "What?" I was like, "I must be
Fine
tired.
to me.
Sorry, I'm not." And God was like, "The next person that needs to hear the story, the next person that needs to know they're not alone, the next person that needs to know that this is how you really feel, that it is this hard." And God just made it clear, and it's more than the podcast, it's the entire 501(c)(3) nonprofit. The podcast comes out once a week, but, like, we're recording this today, June 20th. This podcast won't come out till, like, September, but tomorrow, June 21st, we have a workshop with a poet who is also has grief background and showing people how to use their grief to make poetry. So we have workshops periodically helping people facilitate their grief. Some people, like yourself, journalists, say you had one of your journalists, like, I really would like to make a poem out of this, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. This workshop is literally for people that want to take their grief and maybe in their healing process, write poetry out of that, may have never written poetry before. So we're always having mental health events. And so God was just like, "This is what I need you to do." And I was like, "Okay." And so I have an accounting background. So establishing a 501(c)(3), doing all that is my wheelhouse. And I was like, "Okay, God, but all this stuff costs money. Like, this costs this costs this." This was not on my bingo card. Like, I'm out here just trying to live my life, read a couple of books, and mind my business. And I was like, "Are you sure you want me to do this?" And I could hear God saying yes, but I was just like, "I don't know." So then I met with this person that does tech for some musicians, and he was showing me all the IT I needed, everything needed. And I, now being an accountant by trade, I calculated all this up. I said, "God, this the total of this. Like how this? Okay, like this ain't in my budget. Like, I mean, I'm doing okay taking care of my regular stuff, but you want to add in extra." And I'm like, "Okay, God, well, you got to make this make sense for me." Girl, I called the health insurance company to put my current husband on, and the people told me, "Your husband is on your health insurance." I was like, "This is weird." Well, I never took my deceased husband off. We are
Okay.
now talking, at that point, it was 5 years. My health insurance said, "We will reimburse you for everything that you paid from when your husband passed."
Wow.
You know how much the total of all that equaled?
To help you start your podcast.
The whole 501(c)(3) God fund. God was like, "Now what you got to say?" I was like, "Minding my business, doing what you said do."
Ooh-wee. God is good.
And I was like, I mean, to the penny. And I'm talking when they were reimbursing me the health insurance, it was like something I had been paying biweekly, the exact difference from when Mark passed to the day I called them. They calculated all of that up and reimbursed me. That don't happen. Usually they would have been like, "Well, it's your loss. Thank you for paying," but they reimbursed me that money.
Wow. That
And I
is a
was like, "Well, okay, God, now that you had to be all specific about it, okay." But I am like anybody else, is still like, "Okay, but what about this?" And then something else came up. And so the house we're in, my sister lived, when you talked about family, my sister and my mother lived right next door. We purchased homes next door to each other. It was under construction and it worked out. The refrigerator in my house is literally, so this is it was a year old. The refrigerator was 1 year. And my husband and I are sitting in the front room, and all of a sudden we start hear water splattering. Well, it was the water coming out of the water dispenser in the refrigerator just hitting the floor, just from out of nowhere, random. And so this is going on back and forth. And I was like, "Okay, you try to do a couple of things, think you a mechanic, and it keep going." So I finally called the warranty for the refrigerator from where we purchased it. I was on that phone way too long, talking to too many people. I finally talked to this person, transferred me to this person, transferred me to that person. The last person I talked to was a young lady, don't even know her name, but she was starting a funeral home and her mother had passed. And we started talking about her mom, and she was like, "Well, how do you know how to help people with this?" And then we started talking about my nonprofit, what I was doing. She goes, "You know what? I'm just gonna give you all the money for your whole warranty. You go buy your own refrigerator. I feel like that's what I need to do." I was like, "Girl, I ain't trying to get you to lose your good job messing around on this phone because these things are recorded." And she was
Right.
like, "No, no, I'm good. You did all this. We got all this. You know, my refrigerator stopped doing after that."
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I told you God don't be playing about his children. He don't be playing. He don't.
And even though Christianity is my faith, the nonprofit is not a faith-based thing because when your loved one passes, you
Yeah.
need someone to love you in the place you are. Because so many people, when your loved one passes, maybe they had a faith, but they are mad at their creator because their loved one is not here. And not that having faith is wrong because that's me, but when in the realm of this nonprofit, it is showing up for people in their place of hurt. That's
Mm,
it. It's holding that space and creating something safe and how they're working through that, validating their feelings, supporting them, having workshops and mental health events to supporting them through their grief because it can be so isolating. It
it
can
can
be such a lonely place.
it can.
And God just said, "This is what I need for you to do." And I'm like, "Well, okay." And it's interesting you would ask me that just this weekend, 2026, we're planning our first in-person gala dinner, yada, 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 and I was been planning back and forth with the location where we're going, and I was like, "Okay, God, I'm in the car sweating, about to go in to sign this contract and start making these quarterly payments." And I was like, "Lord, if this ain't what you want me to do, just tell me." Like, I will just tell people it's canceled. You know, every time you plan something, it don't always have to happen. I made a mistake. I walk into the establishment and the lady says, "Such and such is a widow and they need to speak with you." I was like, "Well, God, you just had to make that crystal clear, didn't you?"
Man.
I was like, "I guess we're doing this." And it's like we're having a celebration. It's gonna be like a 60s theme dressing and
Oh,
a lot of fun, vendors coming and being able right here in Norfolk. But when I walked in and before we could even start talking about what I was there for, she was talking about the person I need to speak with, what they needed. I was like, "Alrighty, I guess we're doing this. I guess we're doing this." So I see that to say it's natural to wonder for me if I'm going in the right direction God would have me to go in. And
yeah.
God knows me well enough to know this girl gonna ask me, "Can you just kinda make sure? Because I don't wanna be out here."
Uh-huh.
And He is faithful to do that.
Yeah, definitely. That is amazing. I'm proud of you for actually just hearing him just guide you. You know, some people don't have the tools to be able to understand the difference between him and the other person. So it's like it's just a blessing that are letting him guide you through because it's gonna go so far, man. It's
Oh,
gonna
girl, but let me see, I'm sweating because it's still scary. Let's let that be clear.
Oh, no. I already know it is. I already know, but it's like it's like we're protected. Like
Mm,
what more do we want besides that, you know?
right.
Long as we got that and we're doing God's work and we continue to be our true self and not let the journey change us, I mean, we can do it.
Well, you are more than welcome to come here May 2026 and be a part of this experience,
Oh,
May 16th.
yes. I would
Yes.
love to.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yes.
Yeah, I would love to. I love stuff like that. Yes, I will come for sure.
I am going to send you an invitation. I'll send you the save the date. We're having vendors, we're having some speakers. Maybe we'll put you on the itinerary if you're going to be here and just being able to encourage people and strengthen because what we're raising money for is to create a college scholarship fund because when people lose their loved one, it can impact you financially. And
Listen, I was broke, girl.
because you get left with this two-person income with
Yes,
this one person, and now your brain isn't working right. Maybe you have to go back to school. Maybe you have to, re-educate. Maybe your children were in college, and you no
yes.
longer have the funds to do that. So
And I had
between
to
our
pay
regular
for
operating expenses and wanting to create education, that's what we're trying to do with this.
Yeah, I had to pay for his funeral. I had to pay for
Mm,
everything. Luckily, she like a cousin to me. She helped me with a lot of expenses because she owned a funeral home. thank God for that. But I had to pay for my husband. His family didn't help me with it or anything. So I did it all myself. I
And that
did.
is a weight. And
And
here
I
you
and I
are.
didn't have, and it's already bad enough. My daycare, I lost that. So it was like I didn't have nothing. I literally was broke. I lost the kids in my daycare at a point in time, and I had them coming for free because I was so torn apart because I didn't do my corrective action when licensing come out. So I lost my stars at my daycare. So I lost the kids on my roster, but I had the parents keep bringing them until I got it back together. So for almost 2 months, they're getting childcare for free without me even charging them. And then I was getting my paperwork together. And then I had to get out of my bed just to go sell the stuff in my old daycare for me to get some money to even pay my mortgage and my car note and everything because I didn't have nothing. And I will say, last year, like almost probably August of last year, a little before that, is when I really just got on my feet and everything is like going so great and smooth. I'm like truly blessed. Like
You can
seriously.
definitely relate to what we're trying to support and do in this process.
Yes,
It's a
it's a lot.
struggle.
It's a lot. And having life insurance policies and stuff is very important. You don't even need much. At least a good 30-20K just so you could just at least get everything completed. You know what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
just fine. You don't need a whole bunch. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's like $20 a month that'll cover just certain expenses. And
Absolutely.
people just need to know that. They just
Yes,
some of them not knowledgeable of it, but it's helpful. It
it
is.
definitely is. I would
Yeah.
agree with that. Well, I'm
Thank
looking forward to
you.
meet you in person. I'm
I'm
serious about
excited
this.
to come.
Yes. I am going to say something to the listeners, and then I would like for you to close this out if you wanna share again where they can find you, any information, any words you feel like you wanna wrap up and share with people. I'd appreciate that.
I'd just like to say just continue to love on you and continue to live the life that you've been wanting to live peacefully. And you can follow me on all social media platforms under Life Hurt Podcast and also my personal page, which is Who Vet. I really don't post much on there, but you can find me on there or just under Yvette Lloyd. You can find me anywhere. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for having me on your podcast. It's a relief to let this out. It was a relief, and thank you for giving me a safe space to even communicate with it because your spirit is so beautiful. Thank you.
You are so welcome. I wanna say thank you for each one of you joining us in this conversation. I am so sorry for the person that you have lost that is no longer here that has driven you to this conversation, but I'm glad that you found us. And I know you found encouragement. I know you found inspiration in this discussion, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for spending another episode with Widowhood Real Talk. If you found the contents of today helpful, share the episode to anyone you know who may need it. Subscribe to the show and tune into Widowhood Real Talk each week. Then visit widowhood-realtalkwithtina.org to join the community and access additional resources. Remember, you are not alone in this journey.